The story of Black Cab begins not with the supernatural, but with something far more familiar and painful: a failing marriage. Anne and Patrick, the central couple of the film, are introduced in the midst of a night out with friends. On the surface, this should be a pleasant occasion, a chance to relax, eat, drink, and enjoy some company. Yet even in this early scene, the tension between them is impossible to ignore. Patrick's remarks toward his wife carry a sharp edge. His tone is condescending, cruel at times, and subtly controlling. Anne, in contrast, carries herself with quiet discomfort, almost shrinking into herself under his presence. The film doesn't need to spell it out directly. The cues are clear enough. This is a marriage poisoned by emotional abuse, perhaps even physical violence, though the full extent is not yet revealed. The atmosphere is heavy with things unsaid. When dinner ends, the couple leaves their friends and steps into the night, waiting for a ride to take them home. A black cab pulls up, driven by a man named Ian. At first, Ian seems like any other cab driver: polite, chatty, an ordinary man doing an ordinary job. He asks the usual small-talk questions, making conversation as they set off into the darkness. Anne and Patrick sit in silence at first, occasionally trading barbed comments, while Ian fills the space with words. Yet, beneath the mundane tone of the ride, something subtle is already off. Ian's questions become oddly specific, his insights strangely personal, as though he knows more about the couple than he should. The tension that was once confined to Anne and Patrick's marriage now begins to bleed into the cab itself, infecting the entire atmosphere of the journey. It soon becomes clear that Anne is pregnant. The subject emerges not from her own words, but from Ian's unsettling intuition. He seems to know this without being told, hinting at details that should be private. Anne reacts with confusion, Patrick with irritation. How could a stranger possibly know this? Yet Ian speaks with confidence, as though he has some deeper connection to their lives. This is the first major sign that the cab ride is far from ordinary. As the miles roll on, Ian's demeanor shifts. The friendly driver's mask slips away, replaced by something colder and more menacing. He begins to prod deeper into Anne and Patrick's troubles, amplifying the conflict between them. Patrick grows increasingly angry, while Anne's unease hardens into fear. The cab, once just a vehicle, transforms into a cage. The night outside is empty, the streets unfamiliar, and Anne realizes with growing horror that they are no longer heading toward home. The moment of escalation arrives when Ian abruptly incapacitates Patrick with a stun device. Patrick collapses, groaning in pain, and Ian secures both husband and wife in the back of the cab. The situation has turned into a kidnapping. Anne pleads, Patrick rages, but Ian remains eerily calm. He insists that there is a purpose to what he is doing, that he is taking them somewhere important. From this point forward, the journey becomes a nightmare, both psychological and supernatural. While trapped in the cab, Anne begins to see strange things: fleeting shadows, pale figures, ghostly apparitions of a woman. At first, she doubts her senses, unsure whether these are hallucinations brought on by stress or something far more otherworldly. But the visions grow stronger, undeniable in their presence. A woman draped in sorrow appears again and again, her form tied to some tragic story of loss. The supernatural intrudes fully into Anne's reality, blurring the lines between her fears and the world outside the cab. Ian eventually reveals his destination. He is taking them to what he calls the most haunted road in England, a desolate and legendary stretch where a grieving mother is said to wander eternally. According to folklore, this woman's daughter died in the surrounding woods, and ever since, the mother's ghost has roamed the road, searching for the lost child. Ian recounts this tale with an intensity that suggests a personal connection. To him, this road is not just haunted, it is sacred, almost a place of reckoning. Anne realizes that Ian's fixation is not random. He has been following her, perhaps even before this night. He recalls seeing her outside a maternity hospital on a previous occasion. This detail makes Anne's blood run cold, for it confirms that Ian has been studying her, waiting for this moment. The cab ride is no coincidence. She was chosen for reasons she does not yet understand. As the road winds deeper into isolation, Anne's visions intensify. The ghost of the grieving mother appears, sometimes at the roadside, sometimes inside the cab itself, her face pale with anguish, her eyes filled with longing. Anne begins to feel a strange kinship with this spirit. Both of them are bound by the theme of motherhood. One a mother who lost her child, the other a mother carrying a child into an uncertain future with a violent husband. The parallels are unmistakable. Patrick, meanwhile, continues to lash out, blaming Anne, insulting her, and even trying to bargain with Ian. His abuse is laid bare in the confines of the cab, stripped of the social disguises he wears in public. Yet his cruelty only fuels Ian's control. The driver taunts him, mocks his weakness, and reminds him that he is powerless now. The dynamic of abuser and victim shifts as Patrick finds himself helpless for the first time, forced to face a situation where his dominance means nothing. The journey crescendos in a collision of psychological trauma and supernatural terror. Ian seems obsessed with recreating or confronting the ghost story of the mother and child. He places Anne at the center of this, as though she must become part of it, either as a stand-in for the lost daughter or as the grieving mother herself. His motives remain clouded, part obsession, part grief, part madness, but it is clear that Anne is meant to play a crucial role in his twisted ritual. The final act is a blur of fear, confrontation, and haunting imagery. Anne is forced to confront both the ghost and her own reality, her abusive marriage, her pregnancy, her sense of entrapment. The spectral mother looms larger, her presence undeniable, while Ian's mania grows stronger. Whether he believes he is helping the ghost find peace, or whether he is simply indulging his own deranged obsession, remains ambiguous. What is certain is that Anne's fate is tied to the themes of motherhood and loss. The cab becomes a symbolic vessel, carrying not just its passengers through the night, but also the weight of grief, guilt, and violence. For Anne, the ride forces a reckoning with the choices before her: remain trapped in Patrick's cycle of abuse, or face the unknown, even if that unknown is supernatural. The ending of Black Cab is deliberately ambiguous. Some threads are left unexplained, inviting the audience to interpret the balance between psychological horror and the supernatural. Was the ghost truly there? Or were Anne's visions shaped by trauma and stress? Was Ian a man haunted by his own grief, or a servant of something otherworldly? The film offers no easy answers, only unsettling possibilities. What lingers after the credits is not clarity, but atmosphere. The suffocating dread of the cab's interior, the relentless night outside, the chilling blend of human cruelty and spectral sorrow. The story of Black Cab is ultimately about entrapment, by abusive relationships, by grief, by guilt, and perhaps even by restless spirits. The Black Cab itself becomes a symbol of this entrapment, a confined space where the characters cannot escape the truths closing in on them.